Namaste. The power of sounds, of an awakening world, healing power of mantra meditation and mantras. I just blow the horn, beautiful conch, 3 times. According to research on the sounds of the conch shell done by the University of Berlin in 1928, its sound was found to be one of the best ways to wipe out microorganisms that cause sound interruption. The reverberation caused by the conch horn destroys bacteria within a radius of 365 meters and small organisms within 785 meters. The conch horn sound can also destroy diarrhea and malaria bacteria. A study by the Stanford University confirmed in 2011 this is something that literally affects humans even physiologically. Thanks to the complex interconnection of the brain and our neurons, and any sound instantly reaches practically all areas of our brain. Impulses jump from the auditory cortex into the limbic system and trigger emotions. These can be fear reflexes or feelings of happiness. Sounds activates, mobilizes body functions and stimulate our language skills. The electrical nerve signals increase to cascades and fireworks. The impulse sparks flicker in all convolutions of the brain. Our brain switches to the red alert. The fact that sounds as a music, and especially in shamanic rituals and chants and mantric chantings, have the resounding awakening effect. It is probably related to the archaic warning function of hearing. I invite you to join a global conch horn experiment, the idea of enabling a worldwide sound event to heal the world. All over the world, blowing the conch. When you erase the meaning and tone, what do you hear then? When you erase the meaning and tone, what do you hear then? When you erase the meaning and tone, what do you hear then? Whoever wants to experience life in all its dimensions must first have learned to experience silence. Everything in our universe is information and energy that vibrates in certain frequencies. These energies and subtle frequencies help awakening to the reality of healing the body with vibration and the healing mantras and sounds of the Veda. We have studied this in Ayurveda. What is the meaning of this science of Nada Brahma? Nada. I know that in Spanish, nada means nothing. Perhaps there's a deeper connection between the Spanish word nada and nada from Sanskrit. Nada in the context of yoga and Sanskrit means something like word, sound, a tone that can be heard with the inner ear, not with the ear that listens to the music of the outside world. The voices, the wind, the leaves, or the singing of a bird. Nada is like a sound without meaning, without content, without assignment. The word nada is described in the Nada Bindu Upanishad. It is also called Amrita Nada Bindu Upanishad. It is an ancient Vedic terminology in Sanskrit. It belongs to the Atharva Veda and is also assigned to the Yoga Upanishads. The short Narabindu Upanishad deals with the knowledge of the sacred syllable Om. And that is what we can listen when we really are quiet, when we blow the conch. The secret sound of Om, which is the universal sound and the origin, the first word, the first sound, the first vibration in the universe. It's Om. The meaning and use of what is arguably the most famous mantra, Om, was the first expounded in the Upanishad. Yes, one could even say that the science of the pre-memorial sound, Om, was founded in them, which is still valid today. And when we listen to the sound of the Om, we listen to all the mantras existing in this universe. We can listen to the source sound, to the root sound of the Vedas. Vedoham, I am the Veda. Vedaham, I know the Veda itself. Atma Vedam Sarvam, this all is Atma. Sarvam Kalu Idam Brahm, all of this is a complete, a unique whole, as it is said in the Chandogya Upanishad. This means that the sound level refers to the unstruck, seedless sound of Anahatanada, which is referred to as a thin hum in the right ear, and through which a person can easily reach Turiya, the fourth main state of consciousness in meditation while meditating. It is said that this sound has its origin in the Anahata chakra, which is in the yoga philosophy, the fourth chakra in our body, in our system. Other religions have also some terms like the Shabbat, the word, etc. The correct teaching of meditation correctly explains how to meditate with a selected sound, word, a mantra, in order to achieve a deeper state of meditation, not using the tongue, very simply, inwardly, without any effort, not even with an app. This is the wrong way anyway, because it leaves the mind active and clinging to the outside in the gross sensual experience. Every mantra available to us on our planet has been brought to us by a seer. The seer of the mantra is called the Rishi of the mantra. It means the one who saw. Mantras are not coined or created or, as we do today, analyze scientifically in the sense of intellectually analyzing the words or the sounds. They have been viewed. They are only ever seen because all of the mantras were given to us by the leading yogi Shiva. Everyone else just sees what is already in the universe. In other words, mantras are never intended but discovered by enlightened yogis and rishis. Mantra drashta is called one who is the seer of the mantra. The mantra drish signifies also the seer of a mantra. This refers in particular to the rishis who have seen the Vedic hymns in a broader sense. The person is meant who can take a deep look into the laws of creation, the laws of nature, and translate them into a language as Sanskrit or other languages. The word mantra drishti is the view of a mantra, and Mantra Diksha is the correct instruction, the initiation, the instruction into the mantra meditation to use the mantra correctly and the transmission of the mantra to the learners, to the students. Everything has its meaning in its, and it has an effect. It is a process of awakening. Now, using the mantra in a correct way, there are some kind of misunderstandings which have been arisen in many generations. We know the word dharana. Let's say, don't lose control of your life. Get over the delusion of the short-lived, superficial, excited and unstable facets of everyday life. He who has the mind calm, aligned to the level of subtle order and stillness, is able to withdraw the outer consciousness into the inner area of pure consciousness. He acts prudently and with equanimity. Along with dhyana, meditation, and samadhi, dharana is one of the three aspects of meditation that bring inner peace, balance, and bliss. As we know from a quote of the Yoga Sutras, Desha Bandha Chittasya Dharana. Dharana is the result of calming the thought process, bringing the mind together, unity, yoga, with the oneness, yoga. Some years ago, I have been visiting Bangalore, and I had to go back to New Delhi, and I took a flight from Bangalore to Delhi. It was February. I was on this flight from Bangalore to Delhi. The outside temperature was about 30 degrees. We all were sweating. I still remember that time very well. It was wet and cold in Germany, February. It's still deep winter. It was the time of Carnival. It is the time where big parades go around through the cities. They make music and they say goodbye to the winter time. It's a very beautiful, colorful festival, and people are happy because the dark time is going to be over soon. So they are saying goodbye. It's like Holi, a festival of colors. Then I heard music on the plane, sitting there, and I listened and listened more closely and couldn't believe my ears. I couldn't believe what I was listening to. In India, February, it was hot, Bangalore. They played Christmas carols and songs like Snowdrops, Jingle Bells, Silent Night, Santa Claus, the whole program during the hour and a half flight to Delhi. Christmas songs. I asked the stewardess, what kind of music are you playing there? And she answered, smiling to me, oh, that's modern Western chill music for relaxation during the flight. I was laughing, and that's when I understood, and that's exactly how we do it here in the Western Hemisphere with the mantras. People, they chant mantras, they chant them, they do bhakti, and we don't even know what we are singing. I was aware of this. I have been dealing with the mantra market for many years. I've been in many satsangs in Germany and in yoga groups and yoga schools. But this extreme example only occurred to me on this plane when I was flying from Bangalore to Delhi. I think today we should really first explain the whole tradition of the mantra and the Vedic tradition professionally, and offer training or further education when or which mantra are used or not used, and used for what purposes, and which laws of nature are associated with the mantras. They are not just words, they have healing power. In the Bhagavad Gita, in the 4th chapter and the first verse, Krishna said, I taught this eternal science of yoga to the sun god, Vivaswan, who passed it on to Manu, and Manu turned it, instructed it to Ikshvaku. And in number 4.2, in the chapter 4, verse 2, he said, but in the long passage of time, this tradition was lost to the world. How can we describe the word mantra? The word mantra is made up of two parts. There is the word manas and tra. Manas, what does manas means? It is like the mind, the relative sense, the realm of desire, thoughts and feelings, thinking, the ability to think, our psyche. Through manas, the impressions of the external world are received, which are submitted to the distorted power of buddhi. It processes and coordinates all sensory impressions and converts into will impulses that come from within into action. In the Sankhya philosophy, manas is often referred to as an internal sense. The buddhi is thus superior to the manas because it is the higher power of discrimination, viveka. In the realm of manas, the false tendencies, vasana, are located. The goal is therefore to purify the manas so that the divine self can shine into it. Literally, we could say mantra, a thinking tool, or a verse from the Veda, or a term or a mahavakya, a song, a holy word or prayer formula. With mantra there is also a sound, a formula. It is meant, when used correctly, conscious, and it is a process and a development of inner processes. The mantra, which is often viewed as a direct experience of God, especially in the viewpoint of the Hindu religion, contains the core of the instructions of the master, of the teacher, of the guru. The student should keep it secret, inside his heart, and hold holy and meditate on the aspect of God. Any sound is a representation of the root, of the Om, of God. The regular repetition of the mantra, we could say japa, which is a technique, purifies the mind and with constant practice ultimately leads to a spiritual experience. Mananat trayate iti mantra. This is the definition of the word mantra in Sanskrit. A prolonged repetition, manahat, of what trayate protects trayate from all misery resulting from bondage or cycles of birth and death. We could say this is the mantra. And there we come really to the meaning of this lecture, the mantra and the power of Ayurveda, the power of mantra, mantras and their tonal powers. They have been always very powerful source of well-being for all of creation and to destroy suffering. Mantras have their origin in the original sound Om, as I said, which is the sound of creation. The science of mantras believes that if one can use the right words to free our minds, it sharpens their focus and channel divinity in the universe, we can rise above any negative tendency that narrows and restrains our consciousness and get past the shackles of the limited to the pure, unlimited consciousness. We can cut through life's myriads of problems and there are many. It's a sharp word. It's like the mantra could, like a clear mantra could, like cutting grass. Above all, we can achieve liberation, which is the goal, like moksha or nirvana. And all existence is simply an arrangement of silence and sound, vibration, rest and activity, tension and relaxation. Or simply sound with different frequencies, because silence is also a kind of sound. Science believes that there are two types of energy, potential and kinetic. Mantra science says the same thing, but goes one step further. While in mantra yoga or mantra, Veda, knowledge, science, Vidya, kinetic energy is an aspect of potential energy. Movement in energy causes sound. When this sonic aspect of energy is used or channeled, it becomes creative intelligence or creative energy. This strong creative energy can be used to aid the creation, destruction, or sustaining of the world, dreams, goals, and desires. Mantra yoga, as used in Raja Yoga, is about going to the source of all sounds, to the first voice, to the originator, so that you can connect to the universe on a completely different level, a level that is incomprehensible to an average mind. Vedas have called it Nada Brahman or Shabda Brahman, the highest, eternal, and true, only true reality of sound. I present it to you or to my students in my work in its entirety, based on my many years of committed practice and direct experience through the vital self meditation, which is the focus in my meditation practice, and based on this knowledge. Without experience, and this I would like to emphasize, it is very important of this process, without direct personal experience, everything remains empty and it's just dead theory. So we really have to get in touch with the inner experience of unbounded consciousness through mantra meditation, which is offering the vital self-meditation and the light of Varanasi. In the Western tradition, there is known an ancient Greek healer, Hippocrates, of course, like 460 to 360 before Jesus Christ, and he said a very famous phrase: your food should be your medicine, and your medicine should be your food. There was one lady, a saint lady, she was called Hildegard von Bingen. She also said the same sentence that originally came from the Ayurveda: your food should be your remedy. Those things we eat, we have to eat them right, do not need medicine. Of people who do eat right, they don't need medicine. Those who eat incorrectly do not benefit from medicine. From my viewpoint out, the source of even the growth of plants in the light of the sun, of the divine, of Surya, is the sound. So far, my opinion is the sound should be your remedy. This sound, the mantra, should be your remedy, which of course, first and foremost, represents the sound of silence. Before the sound takes on a form, like in plants or in our creation, there comes the tone, there comes the manifestation, and so on and so on. Everything around us vibrates with sound. How do we call it? Or is there any science to explain it? Yes, I mentioned already the Nada Brahma. Nada in Sanskrit, it means sound. The sound of Brahma is one of the greatest gods, and its greatest principles represented through natural law in our physical world. Brahma, Vishnu and Shiva, the three main gods we know in Hinduism and the Vedas. All other gods are basically only incarnation or extension of these three main gods and are subject to the field of karma. Trimurti, Trinity, the three. Unity means, three means unity. Nada Brahma, the sound of God. The Brahma, world, ground and sacred knowledge. Central concept of the Vedic and Indian philosophy interpretation of our world. The world is sound, sound is God, Brahman, God over everything. It is the highest. It is the cosmic principle of creation, of the universe. So Nada Brahma means God is sound, the creation, the cosmos is sound. There is not only the ancient knowledge of the Indian Vedas, it is also the knowledge of the Sufis, of Islam, and the knowledge of the man with whom Western science began, Pythagoras. And even the same knowledge about the sounds and even about the conchs you find in every culture on this planet. Just some years ago they found a conch, it's like 5 times bigger, like this, in south of France, which has been dated on like 16,000 years back. The fact that this knowledge is almost identical in the three completely different cultures, in all those cultures on this planet, should make one sit up and take notice. It can be less of a knowledge of our minds that what C.G. Jung calls archetypal knowledge, and it's an inner knowledge that is common to mankind, universal. Mantra knowledge is universal. It is knowledge like in science we know the laws of gravitation. It's a universal law. The laws about the sound, it's universal. It doesn't matter if India or Europe, South America, Africa, Australia. The mantra sound knowledge of healing is universal. In the old Vedic tradition, and we are following the principles we learned from our Vedic masters since generations, the teaching of mantras and meditation has been set up in a very, very standard form. Especially in the program and the method of Vital Self meditation, we really are very responsible for this kind of standard teaching and the acknowledgement of the Vedic tradition. For example, Dhyan, we use the mantra naturally. It is, as I said before, the process of dharana, but effortless. Many people do not understand the nature of mind, so they focus and concentrate. Actually, the method involves thinking of a mental sound, a mantra, a word, we could say, a word devoid meaning. We don't know the rational meaning or try to understand it on a superficial level. Maybe the Rishis, they were capable to understand the significance of the mantras. I am very convinced about that. The idea behind this principle is that if we know, or if we wouldn't know, or if we would know the meaning, that meaning is a static thing. So if we understand the mantras as a concept of ideas with a meaning, it would be static. It's not agile, it's not moving, it's not growing, it cannot evolve. If we say, for example, Jassi, you know what it means? Jassi, Jassi, someone who doesn't know what that means in English or in German or in Spanish or in Hindi, he just hears the sound Jassi. And someone who knows what that jasi, the meaning is, it is static. It means moon, Chandra. This is the word in Guarani, the word of one South American very old tribe of the Amazonian. They call the moon Chandra Jasi. And the sound changes in its pitch, like Ivochite, it's rose. It could be loud, it could be silently, it could be slow, it could be a fast sound, and so on. The meaning is the same at every pitch, high or low. So if the mind is on the meaning, there's no chance of refining the meaning. If we think Jasi, we in English or in Chandra, moon, Chandra, we have a meaning. If we think about Chandra, we maybe think about Vedic astrology. Maybe we think about the nakshatras. Maybe we think about Chandra and we think about Rahu and Ketu because there's this shadow. And we think about Surya. So there's a story behind, and our meaning will hold our mind on the superficial level of the meaning, and the mind cannot experience the subtler level of meaning. We can experience the level of Ritam Bara Pragya, in which we see the rose as it is and the moon as it is, pure and without boundaries. Pure knowledge, Vedoham. When awareness is permanently established in pure consciousness, only the truth will dawn in one's awareness. This state of consciousness is called Ritam Bara Pragya, that intelligence which knows only the truth. During the practice of vital self meditation, our awareness goes from the gross thinking level to finer thinking levels, and then to the unmanifest, transcendent level, the experience of Ritam Bara Pragya. It can occur on the finest thinking level, very close to the absolute, to the transcendence field. In this experience, one feels, I know everything. As the practice advances, the experience of Ritam Bara Pragya becomes permanently established. When one's awareness is established on the level of Ritam Bara Pragya, it is possible to produce specific impulses or sounds in order to produce any desired influence on an object. This level of consciousness has the control over the whole field of objectivity. By developing this ability to produce effects in creation according to one's desire, one gains mastery over nature. And when we are talking about mastery over nature, we're talking about mastery over health. We're talking about mastering of our life, the healing power of the mantras. If the mind is not on the meaning, then there's a chance of refining the sound. Then there's a chance of experiencing the sound in its finest values until the finest would be transcended and the awareness would reach that inner wakefulness, devoid of any perception. This will be the state of Brahm, of Atman, of Purusha, of transcendental consciousness. So we take a thought and experience it. And in experiencing the thought, the simple formula is that the thought functions as an impulse, as a motivation of impulse. Like that, nothing else. It's just a small hint. Then the mind is pulsating. If we don't try to manipulate the thought in any sense, we don't concentrate or hold it on nothing, then the thought, the mantra, will start to refine and refine and refine. So this is dharana, nothing else. It will sink, it will fade away. And if the activity starts and fades out, it fades out, it fades out, just like this. And we make the experience of unbounded awareness. So this is what we say is naturally. Greater activity of the mind reaches its least value in a very, very natural way. Any activity has a tendency to settle down and be quiet. So the natural tendency of the mind to be quiet is all that we use in meditation and nothing else. So in a very innocent manner, we think of the thought, and every time we think it becomes finer and finer and finer, we just let go. We experienced its finest state of awareness, and then it fades out. The mind is left wide awake. It's not as before or in other meditation techniques that we try to control our monkey in our mind. There is also an unbounded jungle of monkeys running around in our brain, in our rational part, in our mind. And we just go deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper. We just left the mind, the mental, the Buddha we left behind. And we create a new state of awakeness, a state of inner wakefulness by itself, without any sound, without any external manipulation. Then we create this unbounded awareness without boundaries. It's like the wave settling down, and it settles down, and then it's flat, the surface of the water, throughout the whole range of the ocean. This unbounded awareness, where the perception is no longer within boundaries, it is just unbounded. There is a silent state of mind, and is the full feeling that the physiology, having tasted this kind of quietness of activity, it is cherished, it's nourished, and is healed. So this is the power of mantra, the power of Ayurveda, mantra and sounds, coming from the level of sound of a conch, which is in its nature capable to eliminate even bacteria, as we have seen in some studies. And even the mind can drop down just at once, and it can be stabilized in the field of unbounded healing, of unbounded, we could say, as we know it from Ayurveda, a complete system of healing. It is the nature of life. It is the pure nature of life. And all that we know from quantum mechanics to be the characteristic of waking state is experience, becomes one's own personal experience throughout life. That kind of life we want to generate. Swashta. This is the state of perfect health, and immortality. Swashta. What one has to do is to start to understand the power of the mantras, because you cannot do it by reading. It's just the experience, not by reading. Because to have that effortless thinking, one needs a little verification by a teacher who can train you in the correct way, a teacher about electing the mantras, a teacher who trains you 2 or 3 times sitting with him together to know the details and this small aspect of deep meditation, to know what means a thought without effort. So, coming to the end, what would be my conclusion? The wisdom about the healing of the sound of mantras is vast, and it takes time to bring it into the right understanding. For this, we need teachers, worldwide teachers. We need teachers not just for Ayurveda, and as Ayurveda practitioners, we need teachers for correct meditation. In Germany, at least, we need about 300,000. I made a calculation about that to be trained. I don't know how many we need in India, or in the United States, or in Latin America. But more important is the direct personal experience as we teach it in the program of Vital Self Meditation. Never shorten your meditation process For every little segment that you decrease from your meditation practice, you reduce your happiness and your success and your health. It is bliss that will create this heaven on earth, this swashta, happiness, unbounded happiness. Let us always strive for happiness and joy in our life. This is the most important thing for everything around us and for everybody around us. No shrinking hearts, no shrinking of the mind. Always fabulously open and happy, clear thinking and happy. Pure hearts lead to a successful and holistic, sustainable model of life, of world, of a unique world, of a united world, where we can say Vasudeva Kutumbakam. To successful decisions that nourish every path in life and eliminate uncertainty, fear, doubts, and worries. Just float in bliss and nature will take care of everything else. The right mantras and correct use of them will help you to reach this goal. Namaste.